Hey, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. As always, it is Nick here, back with your daily crypto news and analysis. And today we are going to be talking about Ripple and XRP, as well as the vast majority of crypto and finance. With that being said, I hope that you're all having a beautiful day or a beautiful night, wherever you guys are out there in the world. So recently, I shared with you guys this image of this meeting with Ripple, Stellar. Chainlink was there. There's a few other players as well. Subjective Views fully updated it, right? I included this in a video. Well, now we got a little bit more of a glimpse into this meeting and what was happening around it. So we have from XRP Drops, big shout out to XRP Drops, Ripple, the Secretary of the U.S. Department of the Treasury, and the OMFIF at the Cosmos Club, Nelly Liang, shared insights on the policy framework, business motivations, and initiatives supporting the development of new digital payment systems. Privacy, security, and scalability are crucial properties of any solution, and the need for policy clarity on AML/BSA in the new payment ecosystem remains high. With the momentum in CBDC building, Microsoft's AI capability CCF Confidential Consortium Framework and ZKP Zero Knowledge Proofs are strong enablers of this emerging market, delivering scalable solutions for privacy and also security. Now, building on top of that, we also have over here Ripple's Lauren Beliv joined OMFIF to discuss the technical and regulatory requirements for upgrading the legacy capabilities of central bank money. This is CBDCs, tokenization, and even stablecoins. We explored the potential implications for consumers, investors, and businesses. We also delved into the long-term vision for the integration of CBDCs, tokenization, and stablecoins into the broader U.S. financial ecosystem, including potential benefits for economic growth and resilience. And remember, this is from Ripple, like head of public policy and government at Ripple, having these major discussions with groups like the OMFIF. Now, why am I bringing up this again and really kind of diving deep into it? Well, it's because of the OMFIF and how connected they are, which we will talk about here in a second. Over here, we have a great article by the OMFIF and Ripple's James Wallace, DMI Annual 2024 Interoperable Solutions, Benefits, and Blocks. Now, this is actually from this DMI Annual 2024 meeting, and this is interoperability or interoperable solutions, benefits, and blocks. Now, he did outline the quote here from this. It goes heavy into discussions around interoperability and what it can mean in terms of unlocking access to cross-border payments and financial systems. There's a lot to go in depth on this. Now, what I find very interesting about this is the DMI annual meeting. This annual meeting or discussion around things is a very big deal. Why? Well, because we know back in 2023, it was a huge deal, and there's a lot of major players there that were involved, which we will go over here in a second as well. But outside of that, you really need to understand who the OMFIF is to realize how big of a connection this is with Ripple's overall goal for the Internet of Value. Now, also talking about this, think about all of the major discussions that have already been made with the OMFIF and Ripple, which we will go over as well. So here we have the who we are. So the OMFIF is an independent think tank for central banking, economic policy, and public investment, providing a neutral platform for public and private sector engagement worldwide. Now, as I've said, right, these think tank organizations or even just groups, they're very big pieces of the puzzle that you need to focus on. Why? Well, go look at the Digital Pound Foundation, look at the Digital Euro Association. These are also think tank organizations that have been making very big strides in the overall view of a digital pound and even a digital euro. Here we have global public investors with investable assets of 43 trillion are at the heart of this network. Now, over here, we have the list of advisors. Now, I'm going to skip over all of these players here because, again, although they are very large individuals, down here is what I'm very interested in viewing, which is the capital markets. Look at all these big players. You have major banks, giants, organizations and corporations behind capital markets as well. Like, this is the substantial names behind this think tank organization. Monetary policy as well. Again, you have the Bank of China on here, major bank of Thailand, Deutsche Bank. I mean, these are very prominent names outside of even banks as well. Like, you have universities on here as well. Very large names. And then you also have industry and investment. And this is more so connections back to, commissions, universities as well, and just other major partners as well. Last but not least, you have political economy. And this is where you get some pretty big names tied to this as well. Again, it just shows you how connected this think tank is. And Ripple having major discussions with them is also a very significant thing as well, considering the fact that this was also with the US Department of the Treasury. So this is an organization that is also still pulling the strings and is attached in a very large way to what's actually happening and what's coming. Now, beyond that, back in 2023, actually, there was a report on the HKMA discussion with tokenization with the green bond experiment. Now, the Hong Kong Monetary Authority does have significant connections back to Ripple, which we've talked about. But this is tokenization with green bonds, and this is actually with Goldman Sachs. Very interesting. Now, again, this is August of 2023. Back in, it was like May, I believe, there was a discussion with James Wallace where we got a full breakdown of the CBDC platform being tapped in with the Hong Kong Monetary Authority's inaugural EHKD pilot program. Now, this was also fully based on tokenization of real estate. This is a real estate use case around tokenization. This was a huge deal considering the fact that, tokenization, it's going to bleed into every single asset class out there, including, of course, real estate, which has over $300+ trillion tied to it. Now, this is a very significant use case, and here you have the HKMA project being focused on with green bond experiments with tokenization. And I wonder who is being tapped in with these green bond tokenization experiments as well. Over here we have, and this is June 15th, could asset tokenization be the new settlement solution? Now, this is also very interesting because this is where we look at CBDCs over stablecoins and tokenized commercial bank money. There's a clear preference here. We have audience members prefer financial market transactions to be conducted in CBDCs is the number one source here, which I find very interesting. But here we have a key insight in terms of asset tokenization. The creation of blockchain-based representations of financial assets is a leading contender in forming the plumbing of a new ecosystem. Now, what is this new ecosystem? Well, it's the new financial system, essentially. They're not telling us like, oh, hey, this is going to be a new financial system. But if we're going to start to see central bank money changing, and we're going to start to see stablecoin adoption growing at a rapid pace, and then you also have, commercial bank money being tokenized as well, what do you think that is the building blocks to? It's not just a new ecosystem. No, this is a new financial system. And remember that Ripple themselves said that they deal in the aspect of plumbing. They are the plumbing because they are the rails that everything will move over. Like this is how everything is going to move. Now, there's a lot of things down here that they go in depth on, specifically like payment rails and how they're changing, and the idea of like distributed ledger technologies as well, 24/7 availability, enhanced liquidity, transparency. Like all of this stuff is things that we have talked about on multiple occasions when it comes to DLTs and what's happening around CBDCs, and also just money itself. Money is changing in a very rapid way. But what's also interesting about this, just recently, Ripple put out a part 1, 2, and 3 of the tokenization revolution that's happening around the tokenized economy. We have the emerging tokenized economy, part 1. This was February 7th of this year. And this goes in depth on how everything right now, specifically around the Internet of Value, is coming together, and tokenization is at the heart of that. Over here, we also have business strategies for navigating tokenization, part 2. Again, all of this was around like February into March, but tokenization, let it be known, like this is the key aspect to focus on. And yes, the XRP ledger is the key thing to focus on when it comes to what Ripple is doing with tokenization endeavors. Even their recent job offerings around institutional DeFi initiatives is fully focused on the XRP ledger around tokenization. And here we have unlocking liquidity in the tokenized economy. How are they doing that? Well, I have, one idea around that: on-demand liquidity. Now, I've been seeing a lot of people saying like, oh, but Nick, what about this recent update around like how they're using USDT over XRP? Yeah, they're obviously going to utilize something outside of XRP for now, considering the fact that XRP is still being scrutinized in a lawsuit with Ripple and the SEC around institutional sales. So yes, XRP is halted right now in terms of on-demand liquidity with those institutions, but it makes sense on why. Now over here, how tokenization can boost the repo markets. Again, this is from the OMFIF. followed by digital technology and ESG, harnessing blockchain and green bond tokenization. This is just recently in March of 2023, and this is in London. Remember what I've always said, it all starts in London. And you also had the BIS talking about this as well. Then we had December 18th, 2023, just recently, simplifying cross-border payments through CBDC technology. Now, this actually does include Ripple and also even XRP technically, because we know that XRP still is going to be utilized to bridge CBDCs. Ripple told us that in a video. But I have a full breakdown over here. I have a summary of this, and we have the text discusses the potential of blockchain-based systems, particularly central bank digital currencies, to revolutionize cross-border payments by reducing costs and complexities. It highlights that CBDCs offer advantages such as low cost and virtually instant settlement facilitated by blockchain technology. This contrasts with traditional banking systems, which are slow and costly due to intermediaries. The growth of CBDCs is predicted to be significant, with a projected annual value of payments reaching $213 billion by 2030. However, challenges remain, including regulatory compliance, interoperability, and technology integration. Ripple's CBDC platform is cited as a solution provider offering flexibility for central banks to adapt their currency plans and streamline cross-border transactions. Despite challenges, CBDC technology holds promise for enhancing global payment systems and delivering value to consumers and also businesses. And yes, we know that what Ripple has been building in terms of that CBDC platform is specifically catered to these central banks and institutions to tap into these new rails that are extremely efficient and provide the plumbing for this new financial system that every single major organization out there is talking about. We're talking about the BIS, the IMF, the World Bank, even these think tank organizations like the OMFIF. And now, well, you tap in with the US Department of the Treasury as well now, which is a big deal. But beyond that, we also have the future of payments 2023. This was back in December, where we had some key findings behind, stable coins, central banks, what they're trying to do. Now, there was one thing in here that was a little bit off, which was like, it was like banks. Like a lot of people were like, oh, well, this is JP Morgan. Like, did JP Morgan write this? But we have 38% of central banks said financial inclusion was a primary motivation for pursuing a CBDC, all from emerging markets. 41% of central banks expect to have launched a CBDC by 2028. 46% of central banks said low adoption was their biggest concern when considering a CBDC, but only 21% intend to work with marketing advisors. 17% of central banks are aiming to decrease the share of cross-border trade settled in dollars. 72% of central banks are unsure that blockchain or DLT will be used in the future payment systems. This was the one statistic from here that everyone was like, who wrote this, JP Morgan? Because we know for a fact that this is nonsense. Why do we know that this is nonsense? Because of all of the major reports prior to this one. But $11 trillion was transacted in stablecoins in 2022, which is a very large amount. 47% of central banks believe interlinking fast payment systems is the most promising avenue to solve issues in cross-border payments. And we know that Ripple has been trying to solve interoperability with some very large players out there. We also know that Quant could be tied to this, as well as a few other ones. Now, also over here, we have central banks and digital currencies. This is that DMI symposium from 2023. Let's go back over here. Why is the DMI, symposium a big deal? Well, it's because of this one, which was in 2023. So this is a huge deal because of what was broken down here. So we have central banks and digital currencies. Again, this is 2023. At the end of like 2023, it was like May of 2023 or so. Or sorry, it was in the middle of like 2023. I apologize, but regardless, we have on May 10th through the 11th, the symposium returns to examine the distribution and use cases of both retail and wholesale central bank digital currencies, tokenized assets, deposits, and capital markets, cross-border payments, and domestic interoperability. Speakers will explore regulatory framework harmonization, cybersecurity considerations, and the future of money in the metaverse. Now, there's a lot of things to really kind of focus on, specifically like technology applications, cybersecurity, digital IDs, things like that. Here's the opportunities here directly from central banks on CBDC initiatives and research. Get a latest thought leadership delivered by industry experts and so forth. There's a lot of things to really kind of look at here. Now, there's a ton of speakers. There's a ton of major players here as well. Here are some of the speakers. So major banks, Goldman Sachs was there, the DMI advisory board at the OMFIF, of course. You had MIT, RTGS Global, GFT Group. Again, more major banks. banking authorities, Deutsche Bank as well. You also had Ripple. Global policy was there from Ripple. You had the HM Treasury, again, more major banks, very large players. Now, even the BIS was there, but also James Wallace was there from Ripple as well. And what's interesting is, yeah, like JP Morgan there. Like there was like major banks here, but there was only one fully blockchain company there, which was Ripple. I find it very interesting that Ripple was there with all of these major banks, all these major giants, and Ripple was there. Interesting. And this is the topics: central bank digital currencies, crypto assets and stablecoins, cross-border payments, DLT and banking, and then tokenization of capital markets. And then down here, we have the partners. Ripple is one of the platinum partners. Then you had these major players as well, silver partners. But then down here, you had the DMI members. Guys, look at some of these names. Tell me that this is not a massive name that needs to be focused on. And Ripple having deep connections with them, it's something very significant. But what's crazy about all of this is like the new world of finance is upon us. Why do we know this? Well, just look at some of the names here. I mean, you're not having all of these major banks. Like these are major central banks around the world meeting together, talking about digital currencies, CBDCs, central banks, and tokenization. I feel as though right now tokenization is like red hot. Yet we have so many people like sitting in the back saying like, oh, well, like nothing's happening. And it's because they're only looking at the price action of the space. But on the grand scheme of things, like guys, think about what's really going on here. Like this is a new world of finance that is coming, and they're telling you this already. These major meetings that are happening as well is really kind of proof of what's coming. And you know what's happening right now and what's on its way, it's really going to surprise a lot of people. It's going to take, you know, so many off guard. Like this is a big deal. And one company that seems to be in the thick of all of it is Ripple. And it's just so it's crazy to me that like a company like Ripple that has been scrutinized for years now. We're talking years, like 5, almost a decade now. A company that has been scrutinized so much has all of these major connections and all of these major discussions with the most prominent names out there. What does that tell you? So I'll let that really kind of, I'll let that go out there. I'll see what kind of discussions you guys have in the comments, but that should tell you everything that you need to know about Ripple and what's happening. So with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys would definitely leave a like, subscribe, turn notifications on because more free content. You guys are more than welcome to follow me on Twitter and join the free Discord in the description below. And with that being said, guys, it's been Nick. Thanks for watching. Peace out.